Hello all, this is Alexander Lees, and in this video we'll be exploring microconsoles, and specifically today we'll actually be looking at Nvidia Shield as a microconsole. Um, so technically this device is actually considered an Android TV box by the Shield website, which it is actually much more than just simple TV box that streams Netflix and YouTube. So I'm a little surprised that they kind of market it as such, but they've got their methods. It is a full-on micro console, and we'll get into why it's a full-on micro console in just a second. Um, so we've got some specs here that we'll kind of go over real quick. The processor in the Nvidia Shield TV version is the Tegra X1, and the Nvidia Shield tablet is the K1, which is important for later discussion. But the processor has a 250 core GPU and 3 gigs of RAM. So that's pretty heavy duty right there. And we'll kind of compare that to some of the more powerful consoles, full-on consoles of our day, or now past, I would say. But the video features on this include 4K, which is spectacular to view here if you have the TV capabilities of that. We've got 16 gigs and 500 gig version or models, so it's a pretty drastic difference there, which is surprising, but that's what they decided to do. So anyways, they have the micro SD slot capability, so it is expandable, and you're not just limited to the 16 gigs or the 500 gigs, not that you necessarily need more. We have obviously wireless capabilities such as Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and we've got Ethernet ports, HDMI, and USB. We actually have a USB 3.0, which is pretty exciting. So now let's kind of take some time to compare and talk a little bit about the Shield and why it's not just a TV box. So first off, we've got the Tegra X1 chip, and it actually has DirectX 12 capabilities, unlike Xbox, which is DirectX 9. So there's a fairly significant difference there in versions, and some other the GFlops is a lot more, and the memory, which I was quite surprised about, was drastically different. We actually have the 3 gigs of RAM on the Shield in comparison to 0.5 gigs of RAM on the Xbox 360. I actually didn't know it had such a low amount of RAM. That and it's much more efficient, obviously. So we have 5 to 20 watts in comparison to the 80 to 100 watts consumption of the CPUs for the Xbox 360. So that's very surprising. Obviously, or more likely, the part of the reason for that is that the Xbox 360 CPUs are clocked a lot higher than their hardware is necessarily made for. So they consume a lot more. They're a lot less efficient also. So, and that just comes with time. So I mentioned the Tegra X1 and K1 earlier. The K1 is the CPU that's actually integrated with the tablet, and X1's integrated with the Android TV box. So let's kind of go over that a little bit, and why it's not, the Android TV box is not just a TV box. It's a full-on micro console, or basically really it's a high-powered gaming system, especially in comparison to the 360. So you have your standard capabilities of most Android operating systems, such as application store with Netflix and YouTube, and then we also have games that are available for the Nvidia Shield TV box, and they've got ports, quite a few ports out. for these, and you've got an array of games in the Google Play Store, because that is an application that's available. But uh, with the Nvidia, we're graced with the grid and the games that are available in that store. Ports such as Half-Life 2 and Trin 2, which is unique because originally Nvidia approached Frostbit and requested that they port the Trin 2 or some games to the Android system. And this was possible with um, a very moderately easy port because the uniqueness of X1 and K1 Tegra is that they're actually originated from PC parts. And this enabled the ability to include or to bundle up the full-on API of a standard PC um, for the graphics card. So that's what made the ports of games such as Trin 2 much simpler, and in many ways, I mean, they just pretty much had to worry about controls and some other quirks with the game itself. But that was pretty much because of the CPU or GPU that's included in there um, with that Android TV box. So that's kind of going to draw developers and different game companies, developing companies, um, such as Frostbit, because those sorts of eases of original titles and just bringing them over, that just kind of brings life to the game. And like once again, so originally PC ports is kind of one of the draws, and then also um, the availability of just having Android and developing for that for different games is another draw. So these are some of my sources here, both from Eurogamer, and read a bunch of different articles and whatnot. But thank you for watching. This is a video on micro consoles, and I hope you enjoyed it.